This is from Tender Points. The Sphinx's riddle. What goes on 4 legs at dawn, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? I don't particularly like riddles, but then again, neither did travelers passing through Thebes. They didn't try to solve the Sphinx's riddle because they craved the intellectual challenge. They tried to solve it because the Sphinx killed anyone who didn't. I don't like riddles, and yet here I am, obsessed with solving a riddle of my own, the riddle of my body. Why exactly am I constantly in pain? Like the Sphinx's riddle, mine is not a brain teaser. It's not Sudoku. It's not something you do on the bus to make the ride feel shorter. Like her riddle, mine has a greater urgency. In The Culture of Pain, David B. Morris criticizes medical literature for its long tradition of approaching pain as a riddle to be answered, a challenge to be met, a puzzle to be solved. He asks us instead to consider in what sense pain might be regarded not as a puzzle, but as a mystery. While one missing piece can solve a puzzle and provide the relief of closure, a mystery is not something that exists principally to be solved. Mysteries, if we reinvest the concept with something of its ancient prestige, designate a truth necessarily closed off from full understanding. An invisible illness with uncertain causes and imprecise diagnostic criteria, fibromyalgia is largely defined by its mystery. One should not be tempted to approach fibromyalgia pain as a puzzle. And yet, when the onset of this pain follows a traumatic event, as it often does, it's hard not to understand that trauma as a certain kind of key, to hold that key in a palm made sweaty by too much coffee, to never put it down for the feeling that at any moment it could completely unlock the mystery and solve the problem of your pain. Two at the bottom of the neck, just above the collarbone. 2 just below the center of each collarbone. 1 on the crease inside each elbow. 2 more on the inside of each knee. On the back of the body, 2 at the bottom of the neck. 1 above each shoulder blade and just inside each shoulder blade. 2 on either side of the lower spine. 2 more on the outer part of each hamstring. In order to be diagnosed, the patient must experience discomfort and at least 11 of 18 tender points designated by the American College of Rheumatology. I like Morris's idea of pain as something more complex and unknowable than a puzzle. I think he's right. And yet, when it comes to the mystery of my pain, I can't resist the impulse to solve it. I have all these pieces, and I can't stop my hands from wanting to jam them together again and again until some sense emerges. When I think about my clues, they are inside a wicker basket that I'm carrying through the woods. It's nighttime. It's quiet. I realize that, for some reason, I am Little Red Riding Hood. Why? I should be thinking of Nancy Drew or Harriet the Spy, some story about a girl detective, not about a girl waylaid in the woods. But to solve this kind of mystery, it seems, you need to walk alone into a forest. You need to walk until you meet a wolf. Throughout pop culture, Little Red Riding Hood's wolf is commonly read as a sexual predator, from Sam the Sham's seductive canine to Susan Brown Miller's rapist. I have a wolf in my story, but he will not interrupt my walk through the forest, which is to say he's already interrupted it. He's the reason I'm here, sorting out the aftermath, which is to say the wolf is eternally interrupting my walk through the forest, emerging from behind the same tree again and again to block my path. Imagine it repeating like a GIF. My Little Red Riding Hood has no granny in the woods. She has no treats in her basket. Her basket is for gathering clues. A handful of fur or a whisker she yanks from his face. Could be DNA tested later. The story of my pain is not an easy story to tell, and I'm not talking about the emotional difficulty of telling it. I mean, the plot itself is confusing. Trauma is nonlinear. There are flashbacks and flash-forwards. And my story is a story about forgetting. In fact, forgetting is one of the main characters. He may be the hero. Forgetting swoops down on a rope to rescue me right after my rape. He holds me with his free arm as we swing back to safety, saying, "You can't handle this right now, but you'll remember when you're 23, and you'll have better psychological defenses then and a good therapist." If forgetting is the hero of the story, who is memory? And what happens to memory in the end?